feast on chaos, crave the grease. 180 miles of asphalt ain't forgiven. In this chaos-driven life, only the fearless living. Checkered flag visions, adrenaline addiction. Metal chorus blare, ain't no friction fiction. Drafting on the homies, camaraderie's the trigger. Slides on the track, bombs ready, yeah we bigger. Brother dreams, chasing speed and money. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, with fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Pit stop hustle, seconds ticking like grenades. Oil stained glory, history never fades. Helmet and visor, it's a warrior's enchantment. Every turn a gamble, every lap a commitment. Crowds roar, amplifies high-octane behavior. Victory tastes sharp, savoring the flavor. Wind in the helmet, destiny's a blur. Burning rubber dreams, all senses concur. Burn rubber dreams, chasing speed and might. Engines roar loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Under the trees, chasing speed and light. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line.
Ooh, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in. As we get ready for another night of racing action here with the always amazing, always super thrilling to watch, the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League ready to rumble here from Auto Club Speedway. Auto Club Speedway, the home of these drivers here this evening, as they'll get ready to go to battle here in this one, as this is going to be a heck of a show, heck of a race out there on the racetrack, as it is the winning bid. The winning bid 250 here. Actually, no, it's the winning bid 200 this afternoon. The winning bid 200 here this evening, and that's going to make it very, very interesting, very, very fun to watch these drivers continue to battle, duke it out there on the racetrack as they get loaded into the sim, each and every one of them looking for the win here this evening. Excuse me, I have the hiccups right now, and I don't know why. I just all of a sudden got the hiccups into me. And trust me, they are tough to get rid of. I don't know what's going on here, but I hate having the hiccups. Oh, brother, this is going to be painful. This is going to be a painful race. Trying to talk at the same time as having the hiccups is never a fun time. As these drivers jumping out onto the racetrack here, they're getting ready to be set loose. They are ready to go to battle here in this one, as my boy Kevin Winker, K-Dub, Kevin coming in with that like on the stream. What's good, Kev? Kev coming in, showing the love over there on Facebook, as each and every one of these drivers, they are ready to play. They are ready to go to battle. It's starting on the pole in the beautiful number 6 ride. That is Matt Hayden. Hayden will start in position number 1 here this evening. Quickest there in qualifying. He was outside in the 24 ride. That is Scott Rankin, as Rankin will start in position number 2. Starting in the 3rd spot in the 32, it is Hunter Carlson. Starting in position number 4 and looking for more, it is that beautiful number 3 machine of Keith Prince. Prince will start there in 4th with Michael Miller, Evan Schilling rounding out our top 6. Rusty Modesty there in 8th. We'll have Jesse Calloway down to his inside, as Calloway will start in position number 7. Right behind him is that 87 ride of Joe Yanks. Yanks will start there in the 9th spot. Colton Hardy in the winning bid 97 ride will start there to his outside. Charles Van Schaik there in position number 11 with Kyle Gray, Bill Hales, Kevin Winker, and Stephen Littrell there in position number 15 on the racetrack as Littrell will start back in position number 15. Unfortunately, looks like we are missing the 69 ride of Jesse Wise. Wise did not jump out there to start this feature event. Unfortunately, we'll have to start from pit road, and we haven't seen Christopher Pendel out there either yet as well. So a couple drivers still stuck down pit road, not yet out rolling on the racetrack as we're going to get ready to go to battle. We're going to get ready to duke it out as 100 laps of racing action here this evening about to get underway. Drivers getting ready to go to battle here in this one is nice and easy. Down and out of quarter number 4, they will see that green flag flies. The green flag quickly into the air here at Auto Club Speedway as we will see stage number 1, our first stage break of the day on lap number 30. So it's a 30-lap run to finish our first stage, and then it's a 20-lap run to finish stage number 2 here in this one. It's out in front, quickly leading the way. It's Matt Hayden. Hayden, nice and easy down through corner number 1 and 2, and will lead us down the back straightaway with Scott Rankin right there in position number 2. As Nicole Winker says, let's go, number 42, hashtag Winker Nation up in the chat here on Winker here this evening. As Hunter Carlson right there, Michael Miller there in fourth, Kyle Gray already quite a few positions here in that Cobalt Lowe's number 78 ride. He's been early moving through the field here as unfortunately Keith Prince, Rusty Modesty, and Evan Schilling unfortunately followed back early in this race and still battling back here 2-3 wide here, fighting for about the 7th position out there on the racetrack as they all continue to duke it out. They all continue to keep on battling. They're all chasing down Matt Hayden as Hayden continue to lead the way. And I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I am dealing with the hiccups right now. I'm really hoping that they disappear real soon because they are not fun. They are not fun. They are not very fun for us up here in the chat as we got to try to talk, and when we're in the middle of a conversation or talking and you get that hiccup, man, it doesn't feel the best, that's for certain. As Hayden, Scott Rankin, 1 and 2 out there on the racetrack. Here comes Hunter Carlson, though. Carlson right there in that 32 ride, trying to hunt down that 49 or the 24 to trying to take over position number 2. Kyle Gray right there as well. Kyle really on the throttle early on in this race, already up 7 positions from where he started in this Cobalt machine. Does not look like he is done yet. He wants to continue to keep on traveling up and through the field here, trying to put himself potentially into the winning bid victory lane here this evening as Joe Yakes right there behind him. Michael Miller there in 6th with Jesse Calloway. Rusty Modesty now is the number 97 ride of Colton Hardy there in 9th. And Evan Schilling back into position number 10. Charles Van Schaik there in 11th as Keith Prince unfortunately sliding all the way back now into position number 12. And for the driver that started in position number 4 here this evening, he has fallen all the way back now 8 positions inside our top 10. Bill Hales right there in that 13th spot with Stephen Littrell there in position number 14. K-Dub, Kevin Winker, and that Alva Lean number 42 ride rolls back there in position number 15. Jesse Wise, we do see back out onto the racetrack. Good break there for Jesse. Luckily enough, he doesn't go too far behind the race leaders, but he's still about 10 seconds or so away from our top 10 or so out there on the racetrack, and unfortunately going to need a quick caution flag to try to get himself right back into the battle. And for Christopher Pendel had loaded into the sim, had gotten some laps in there, and unfortunately from the 94 ride has not raced his way up to the front. As Williams says, "Boo! Did that help? Boo!" I don't think it did. It didn't scare me that much. It only scared me a little bit, not enough to get rid of the hiccups, though. Unfortunately, not enough to get rid of the hiccups. As Shanarita says, hashtag Winker Nation up in the chat, cheering on K-Dub back there a little deeper in the field as there's Kevin Winker back in that 15th spot on the racetrack as everybody still trying to hunt down this number 6 machine, the Alvaline ride, out in front and looking to run away with it here. He's already out to a 1.7 second lead between himself and Kyle Gray as Gray continues to march his way up and through the field. Him and Joe Yakes both absolutely driving through the top 10 up inside the podium now with Kyle Gray up 9 positions from where he started. Joe Yakes there in position number 3. Hunter Carlson back into fourth with Michael Miller there in fifth. And we see Jesse Calloway down to his inside. Calloway in that four wide. He's trying to navigate his way up inside the top five out there on the racetrack as he battles door to door. That good wrench services plus number 77. Scott Rankin unfortunately sliding back here now himself. The 24 wide all of a sudden back into position number 8. And our outside pole sitter, definitely not the spot he wants to be early in this race, as Charles Van Schaik and Colton Harvey right there rounding out our top 10. Then we see Keith Prince trying to navigate his way back into fight up towards the front of the field. Is for each and every one of these drivers. The big question is going to be the tire wear here in these race cars. What that tire wear is going to look like, what that fuel mileage may look like. They're really going to get a good sense of it here in our first couple of laps out there on the racetrack and really seeing what it takes to maneuver and navigate around this racetrack as the 6 right continues to lead the way here. Continue to try to open up that race lead, but he's actually starting to fall a little further back here. Joey Yates and Kyle Gray both starting to track him down as you see the Discount Tire Dodge looking to try to jump up and take position number 2 away from Kyle Gray, but as they continue to battle door to door out there for position number 2, they're still slowly but surely reeling in our race leader. But as these tires continue to fade, the tires continue to kind of go up and down out there on the racetrack. We'll continue to see these drivers go up and down throughout the stand. Some drivers going to be on the A game though all evening long, and for right now, Matt Hayden, he has been the car to beat. Quickest there in qualifying and quickly here in this feature event. He is looking to try to pull away and try to just drive away with this checkered flag. Unfortunately for Hayden and all these other drivers, where we're going to see that first stage break on lap number 30. So a couple different stage breaks here on the evening. Lap 30 will be stage break number 1. Lap number 50 is going to be stage break number 2. So it's going to be a very, very short stint there for that second stage, which is really going to open up the strategy call. Do you take tires? Do you kind of wait patiently? You know you're going to have that caution flag come out in that 15 laps or so after going back to green flag racing. So you're going to have a little bit of strategy to try to figure out there on the racetrack. And now I'm yawning and I'm hiccuping. Just everything's going wrong for us up here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm dying. Next up is a heart attack. My God, what in the world is happening to my body? As Joe Yates does take second away from Gray. Gray slides back into third. Jesse Calloway there in position number 4 in the number 4 right, and he continues to look for more out there on the racetrack as Hunter Carlson slides back into 5th. Charles Van Schaik, though, in that beautiful GOAT Racing diecast number 23 ride. He's looking to move on up and inside the top 5 here for the GOAT ride as he's looking to try to work himself around that 32 and take that 5th position away as Michael Miller does slide all the way back into 8th now after Rusty Modesty in the Taco Bell number 5 machine was able to work himself around that 77 machine. Scott Rankin also falling all the way back into 9th as here comes Bill Hales now in that 53. Colton Hardy right there in 11th in the winning bid, 97 ride. Keith Prince back there in 12th with Evan Schilling. Kevin Winker, Stephen Littroll back there in that 36 ride in that 15th position. Jesse Wines there in 16th with Christopher Pendell rounding out our top 17 out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately for Pendell, still not out there onto the speedway. As Matt Hayden continues to lead the way here, he has led every single lap so far, and as we are just over 12 laps into this race, he's led virtually the first half of this first stage of the day. And as this first stage quickly and quietly comes to a close here, drivers are going to be trying to continue to navigate, trying to find their way up here to the front. But as we saw, certain drivers a little quicker on the tires here, using them up a little bit more. Will we see them start to slide back on this 30-lap run? We saw Yates, we saw Kyle Gray both navigate their way up into the front of the field, up to the front of the field here quite a bit earlier and quite a bit quicker than everybody else. And unfortunately, as they got up here, they may have burned up a little bit more of those tires, where drivers that they passed may have been just trying to kind of save those tires, kind of keep their cars pointing the right direction, trying to keep them underneath of them, and see if they can try to maybe find some positions and find some ground later in this race. And that's exactly what we may see here throughout the evening, as some of those drivers that move forward might start falling backwards, and drivers that fell backwards may start moving back towards the front. We did see a big slide right there out of that 4 right of Jesse Callaway. Callaway shot from the high side down to the bottom side there, and for the 4 machine, he goes from virtually that 4th position, now falling all the way back to 7th, as there goes that 5 machine of Rusty Modesty and the 23 of Charles Van Schaik, because they're both going to work themselves around that 4 ride. This is a racetrack that really requires some good patience and some good momentum out there on the racetrack. You run into one bubble, you lose that speed, you lose that momentum out there on the racetrack, and you can get passed by a good couple handfuls of cars before you even realize it, before you even kind of get that momentum built back up, before you kind of get your feet back underneath of you. You can be passed and put back deep into the field. So it's all about carrying that momentum, carrying that speed through these corners. And that's why we're going to see these drivers continue to bounce around from that bottom lane to the middle groove and right up against that wall on the high side here at Auto Club Speedway. As out in front, Matt Hayden. Hayden continuing to lead the way here in this one. Hayden out in front, showing these drivers that he is the car to beat here in this one. Hayden's looked very, very good, and down across the line, he'll lead the first 16 laps of this race. He's already 16 laps into it. It's going to be potentially a pretty quick one here. A big track, a lot of room to navigate, a lot of room to move around out here on the speedway. Not a whole lot of cars in the field here this afternoon. We got about 17 that started this race. Unfortunately, one still down pit side, so we got about 16 cars battling out there on the racetrack. And as they continue to battle, continue to fight out there on the speedway, even with our couple stage breaks and bringing these drivers all back together, I don't think we're going to see very many caution flags. So it's really going to come down to that strategy in that final run, that final 50-lap stage here this evening, on what they need to do and where they need to be and how they need to navigate themselves and make these pit stops and try to use the fresher tires that they're advantage. Down across the line, 17 laps completed, and we can already see over, I'm going to say, almost a second and a half of tire fall off here for most of these drivers. So about a second and a half, if not even a little bit more, for a lot of these cats that they have been unfortunately falling farther and farther behind our race leader here, and we started to open up that lead once again. And for those guys, they are starting to struggle more and more every single lap out there on the racetrack, tearing up those tires that bunch more. And that's where we see other drivers start to run into problems. And we did see Bill Hales in the number 53 ride. Looks like he's going to take his car down pit side here. The MH Construction number 53 looks like he's got a piece of the outside fence, takes it down pit road, and he's going to tow it down to his pit stall. And unfortunately, looks like he's taking this car off of the racetrack. So for Bill Hales, looks like he's done and out of this race as well. So Christopher Pendell, Bill Hales, both done and not out there on the racetrack, leaves us with only 15 drivers left to duke it out here in this one. 15 drivers out there on the speedway, and there is still a lot of racing action left to go here this evening. As the next time by the start-finish line, we will see Matt Hayden click off lap number 20, meaning that we got still about 80 laps of racing action left to go. Now let's take the over-unders here on when we think my hiccups are going to disappear. Do we think it's going to be around that halfway marker? Do we think it's going to be here the whole time? Do we see potentially, maybe after this first stage or second stage, we kind of see these hiccups dissipate for your boy up here in the booth? As, man, this is a fight on its own. This is my own little fight. They're duking it out there on the racetrack. I'm duking it up here in the broadcast booth, just trying to stay alive here in this one. As Matt Hayden continues to lead the way. Kyle Gray there in second. Man, I don't know how these NASCAR guys, I don't think I've ever heard one of them ever have the hiccups, man. How the heck do they never get the hiccups or something? That's something we need to look into and see if there's a remedy. I don't know if scaring somebody or drinking water for 10 seconds or 15 seconds or something like that. If that'll actually work or not, I don't know. How do you get rid of hiccups? As we do see some battling going on back here, drivers trying to navigate their way a little closer to the front of the field. You do see that 5 machine. That is Rusty Modesty. Modesty is going to move up into position number 3 here, as we did see Joe Yakes coming down pit side here in that discount tire number 87 machine. So as he comes down pit road, making that first pit stop of the day here out of our race leaders. So Yanks making that early call, headed down pit road. Going to throw some tires and fuel into this discount machine, as it looks like no tires here, fuel only, so maybe a splash of gas, and that's all he needs, and he's going to roll back out there onto the racetrack. I wonder if everyone else is good on fuel, or if they're going to have to come down pit side here before the end of this stage, as Matt Hayden down across the line will click off another lap, and we've actually got about 8 laps left to go here in this stage. So about 8 laps left to duke it out here in this one. For these drivers, they are all still trying to hunt down this number 6 machine of Matt Hayden. This Hayden out in front, continue to put on a dominating show here this evening, as he's got that car hooked up and just absolutely running some great laps still, compared to a lot of the drivers that are back there and around him or behind him, as Kyle Gray now back about 2.1 seconds behind our race leader. So a pretty sizable gap between first and second out there on the racetrack, as Rusty Modesty trying to race his way up into position number 2. Charles Van Schaik trying to go right there with them. Then we see Hunter Carlson, Jesse Callaway, Scott Rankin blinking a little bit out there in the 49 ride. Rolls in 7th. Colton Hardy now into 8th with Keith Prince, Michael Miller, Kevin Winker, Evan Schilling, Stephen Littroll, Jesse Wise, Joe Yakes coming back out onto the racetrack here. Unfortunately for Yakes, he is quite a ways behind everybody else right now, and potentially could go a lap down, as he's just rolling back up to speed, just rolling back out on the racetrack. Our race leaders are not too far away from potentially putting him a lap down here in this one, and that would be a heartbreaker if you're in stage number 1 for that number 53 machine, or for the 87 machine, as the 53 is Bill Hales and Christopher Pendell, both down and off of the racetrack here in this one. It's Jarvis. What's good, Jarvis? Jarvis coming in with the like on the stream. How are you, Jarvis? Jarvis showing the love here in this one, as woo, doggy. This is a pretty interesting race, man. This is really going to come down to the wire, I think, between whether it's fuel or whether it's tires. Someone's gonna have to take a big gamble. Someone's gonna have to take a big swing at the fences here to see if they can try to figure out a way to maybe steal this one away from their fellow competitors. It may come down to that pit strategy on just when you come down pit road there in the final stage of the day, or potentially for some of these other drivers, it may come down to even early on, just trying to get that extra, ground, that extra few stage points and everything else. As we did see Jesse Callaway get up into the outside fence, pretty solid right side damage there for that 4 machine, as Callaway slides all the way back now into position number 7. As Hayden continues to lead this race down across the line, he will click off lap number 26. We got virtually 4 more laps left to go here in this one. 4 more laps left here in stage number 1 for Matt Hayden. Is Hayden starting to see that lead dissipate here just ever so slightly. It's down to about a 1.5 seconds between himself and that Lowe's Monte Carlo Cobalt machine of Kyle Gray. Gray rolling there in 2nd, Rusty Modesty back in 3rd. Then we see Charles Van Schaik and Hunter Carlson rounding out our top 5 out there on the speedway. Scott Rankin, our 2nd place starter here this evening, fell back to about the 10th, 11th position there early in this run, but now starting to slowly but surely drive his way back to the front. And here we go. Our race leader is going to come down pit side. Matt Hayden down pit road. Rusty Modesty also down pit side in the number 5 ride. With only a few laps left to go here in this stage for the first time here this evening, someone else is at the front of the field as Matt Hayden takes that 6 car down pit road and off of the racetrack, and that will forfeit the race lead over to Kyle Gray, as Gray leads us nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of 4. We'll see if this 78 ride comes down pit road. Does not look like it. He will stay out there on the speedway. Looks like he may try to just make it right down to the end of this race, as we'll see Michael Miller now come down pit road, but he goes for a skid right there. Heartbreaker for the 77 ride, as the Good Wrench Service Plus ride goes for that slide, trying to head down pit road. Unfortunately gets nosed into the inside wall. Doesn't look like too much damage there for him, but unfortunately did lose a bunch of time. And one good news is that if he does go a lap down, luckily enough, he will be the first driver one lap down out there on the racetrack. Could potentially get that wave around and back into the battle here, but actually he may not be. Matt Hayden and Rusty Modesty both ended up down a lap right there. Now we see Jesse Calloway head down pit side. So Matt Hayden and Rusty Modesty both came down pit road. Slower pit stops for them, and they now find each other a lap down out there on the racetrack. So if Kyle Gray, Charles Van Schaik, Scott Rankin, all these other drivers stay out here, they could potentially trap this 6 ride of Matt Hayden back in that lap down position. Same with Rusty Modesty. The 77 of Michael Miller down a lap now as well, but I don't know how. We saw Joe Yakes make the pit stop early on, and he was able to keep himself on the lead lap there. Heck of a pit stop for that Discount Tire machine, and still keeping himself on the lead lap here in this one. It's Kyle Gray. Gray out in front, continuing to lead the way down across the line. Will complete lap number 30, and that will be the end of stage number 1 here in this one. So the hiccups, they are still here. We still have the hiccups. We're still struggling with them here after our first stage of racing action, and Kyle Gray picks up that stage win. Charles Van Schaik there in second, with Scott Rankin up and into third. Hunter Carlson, Colton Hardy, Kevin Winker, Keith Prince, Evan Schilling, Stephen Littroll, Jesse Wise, our top 10, all out there winning some stage points here this evening. Jesse Calloway, Joe Yakes, Matt Hayden, Rusty Modesty, Michael Miller. Unfortunately, they're on the outside of some stage points looking in, and for Matt Hayden, this is really going to suck for him, as I do believe he's the first driver one lap down and should get the lucky dog, the free pass back on the lead lap, but he's going to lose all that track position, and he will be back at the rear of the field here for this restart. Now, we did see a bunch of drivers elect not to come down pit road as well. We did not see Scott Rankin. We did not see Charles Van Schaik, Hunter Carlson, Keith Prince, Stephen Littroll, Evan Schilling, or Kevin Winker head down pit road. Same with Jesse Weiss, did not come down pit side either. We did see Kyle Gray and Colton Hardy both come down pit side here during this first yellow flag and first stage break of the day. And now that's going to mean a little bit of extra points there for them, but at the same point in time, all these other drivers that are back there that are a lap down now, Rusty Modesty, Michael Miller, they're going to be trapped a lap down now. They're going to be battling for that lucky dog, the free pass here before the end of stage number 2. Is stage number 2 not too far away here? Stage number 2 will come to a close on lap number 50, and now we're going to see these guys come down pit road. A bunch of them electing to make that extra green flag pit stop here on pretty much all those other drivers that were still on the lead lap, headed back down pit side. Here comes Charles Van Schaik. Here comes Scott Rankin, Keith Prince, Evan Schilling, Stephen Littroll, Jesse Calloway, Hunter Carlson, and that 87 of Joe Yanks coming back down pit side. Kevin Winker, looks like K-Dub Winker maybe out of fuel right here, rolling down on the apron. Potentially that's why we saw drivers like Kyle Gray and Colton Hardy come down pit side there before everyone else did. Maybe pit road wasn't quite open yet. They'll have to take a penalty for coming down a closed pit road, and K-Dub, Kevin Winker, he may be getting that same penalty as that pit road is flashing red. It is closed, but unfortunately for this number 42, he's out of fuel. He's just trying to make it to the end, and it looks like the 69 of Jesse Wise is in that same boat as well. So a couple of these drivers stretching a little too far, and unfortunately looks like they're going to pay the price for it, and man, that's a tough tough break out there, man. That is definitely not the spot you want to be, but hoping that they can try to navigate their way back to the front of the field here and hoping that they can try to keep themselves on the lead lap. We'll have to keep an eye on them as you do see the 32 rolling back out onto the racetrack. We do see Jesse Wise and Kevin Winker. They're both down to a creep and crawl down the front straightaway here, down pit lane. The 69 trying to make his way down into his pit box. Looks like Kevin Winker was able to find his. Now here comes the 69. Looks like he's got it lined up and into his pit stall, and he's going to get that fuel as well. Now, these drivers got to be very, very careful, as I'm not sure where our race leaders are. There they are, coming down across the start-finish line, and for a driver like Jesse Wise, who just got into his pit stall, looks like they're throwing tires onto that 69 ride. If he doesn't get leaving pit stall here very, very quickly, he may go a lap down, as we'll have to wait and see where the pace car is. And looks like he may go a lap down because of that mistake. Having no fuel in that car and having to crawl down the back or front straightaway here in this one. Unfortunately, not quick enough, and he does go a lap down out there on the racetrack under the yellow flag. And Scott Rankin is our new race leader. Keith Prince there in second. Stephen Littroll there in position number 3. Jesse Calloway, Joe Yanks, our top 5 with Colton Hardy back in 6. Hunter Carlson, Rusty Modesty rounding out our top 8 out there on the racetrack. Charles Van Schaik, Kyle Gray, Evan Schilling, Matt Hayden, Michael Miller, our top 13. Then we see Kevin Winker, K-Dub. He's making another trip down pit road, making sure he's get the fuel and maybe the tires onto this 42 ride. Looks like he's going to get her topped up with fuel and ready to try to roll back out there. Jesse Wise just getting back out on the track as well, and he's scored back in position number 15. So good break there for a couple of these other drivers as they were able to take the wave around and get back on to the lead lap here this evening. When you look back at Rusty Modesty and that number 77 of Michael Miller, as both drivers unfortunately could have gotten trapped a lap down out there on the racetrack, but luckily enough they needed that fuel, they needed those tires. And here we go back to green flag racing as Scott Rankin out in front. We'll see that green flag fly here for the second time this evening from Auto Club Speedway as the winning bid 200 here with the Hyper Shift, not Hyper Shift, it is the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League here this evening in the winning bid 200 here this evening. Is out in front. It is that 49 rider, Scott Rankin. Rankin looking to try to win stage number 2 here this evening. Is down across the line. He will click off lap number 35 here, and that means we're going to get about 15 laps left to go here until this stage comes to an end. So second stage closer to coming to a close there than stage number 1 was, as we ran 30 laps in that first stage. Stage number 2 will only be 20 laps, but that final stage will be 50 laps of racing action. It'll be the longest run that we've had out there on the racetrack, and for a lot of these drivers, a lot of different pit strategies, a lot of different pit calls going into play here. To try to see where they can shape up, where they can line up, and where they can try to keep on battling here. As you do see Kevin Winker, K-Dub, he's just in front of our race leaders, not too far away from him. He unfortunately came back down pit road there for that extra pit stop, and all of a sudden for the 42, he finds himself off the pace here, a ways away from the rest of the field. Needs either a quick caution flag or hoping that he can stay on the lead lap before this stage comes to a close, where he will get that caution flag out there on the speedway for the stage break. As Scott Rankin, Joe Yakes there in second, Colton Hardy up and into third. Here comes Jesse Calloway and Kyle Gray. Gray rounding out our top 5 out there on the speedway in that Cobalt Lowe's number 78 machine. Right behind him is the 36 ride, and that is Stephen Littroll there in position number 6. Hunter Carlson there in 7th. Michael Miller back in 8th with Charles Van Schaik there in position number 9. And Matt Hayden rounding out our top 10. We'll have to wait and see if this 6th ride of Hayden can navigate his way back up to the front here after leading virtually the first 28 laps of this race. Was our pole sitter as well, and now back just inside the top 10 after some varying pit strategies out there on the speedway, and unfortunately, it did not work out too well for the 6th ride here this evening, as Joe Yates gonna jump up. He's gonna make the move around the 24, and the Rainbow Warrior ride is going to fall all the way back into position number 2, as Joe Yates in that discount tire number 87 will jump up and take this race lead away from the 24 ride here this evening. As we do see Colton Hardy there in position number 3. We got Kyle Gray back behind him in 4th with Jesse Calloway still battling here for that 5th position on the racetrack. Excuse me, for that 5th spot out there on the racetrack is Michael Miller. A little ways back here behind these guys. He's almost about 5 seconds back behind our top 5 out there on the racetrack. Stephen Littroll, Charles Van Schaik, Hunter Carlson, Matt Aiden, all these guys running a little deeper in the field here now. I'm not 100% sure, but I got a sneaky suspicion that these drivers are just trying to play it safe here in this second stage. They know it's a long stage. They know there's going to be a lot of opportunities later in the race to try to get some tires and everything else. So potentially trying to use a set early on isn't the best bet. Maybe trying to save that extra set of tires to try to use later in this race could be the difference maker between finding yourself up into victory lane or unfortunately not getting the job done here in this one, as some absolutely wicked racing action here this evening, as I do believe these drivers, they had 4 sets of tires, total 4 sets of tires here, 90% fuel capacity this afternoon, and with those 4 sets, you don't want to burn them up too early. You don't want to use them up too early if you can get that possibility or that opportunity to try to leapfrog some other drivers with that pit strategy and save that extra set for later in this race. Even if you've only ran 4 or 5 laps in our final 10 or something, we see that caution flag come back out. It's going to be better to jump back down pit road, try and get those tires back on, and just try to steamroll your way right around the field and into victory lane here in our second race of the season with the full Throttle Outlaws here this afternoon, as Joe Yates continuing to lead the way. Yates out in front, but Scott Rankin sticking right there with him is down across the line. They will complete lap number 41 here this evening, and we're reeling in the end of stage number 2 in a quick hurry here this evening. Stage number 2 going to come to a close in just a few more laps out there on the racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor, man. Hit that like button for us, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button. Become part of the PeaceMaker family here today. Is out in front, a great battle here at the front of the field, as let's jump on board with this number 49 ride for a lap here around Auto Club Speedway. Alrighty, there is a lap around Auto Club. You can see how long, how wide, and how somewhat flat this racetrack is. Not a ton of banking, but you can see a lot of these drivers, they're running some different offsets here. As we watch this 24 roll down the back straightaway here, it's a straight straightaway, but he's got that wheel cranked a couple notches there to the right, so definitely using a little bit of a different steering offset than a lot of these other drivers here this evening. Now that may help him, may hurt him. It's all down to preference out there on the racetrack, as we see Kevin Winker. K-Dub is going to go a lap down out there on the speedway. So the pit strategy for that 42 ride not going to work out too well for him here this afternoon, as unfortunately he will go a lap down. Now lucky news is that right now he is in that free pass position, so he could get that wave around the lucky dog back onto the lead lap here today, as Jesse Wide's about 7.5 seconds back behind him here. Wise quite a ways back there, but if Wise can continue to on this pace and continue to try to hunt down that number 42 of Kevin Winker, could potentially jump up there and knock him out of that free pass position and potentially lock this 42 ride a lap down out there on the racetrack. Definitely not a spot that either of these drivers want to be in here in this race, but they just do what they're told out there, and unfortunately for some of them, not the right calls at the right times here tonight, and those pit mistakes and those mistakes down pit side could potentially come back to haunt them. And Scott Rankin leads the way here down the back straightaway. The DuPont Chevrolet out in front continue to lead this race as Joe Yakes slides back into position number 2. Kyle Gray there in third as Gray works down to the inside. Here comes Colton Hardy as well as Hardy right there in that beautiful 97 ride, rounding out our top 4 here this evening. Callaway back there in position number 5 here on the racetrack. And then we see Michael Miller, Charles Van Schaik there in 7th with Stephen Littroll there in position number 8. Matt Hayden back into 9th with Hunter Carlson rounding out our top 10. Then we see Rusty Modesty back there in 11th, Evan Schilling, Keith Prince, and our first driver 1 lap down this 42 ride of Kevin Winkers, K-Dub, a lap down out there on the racetrack, desperately hoping to see that caution flag for either issues out there on the racetrack or this stage break, and we're hoping to get back on the lead lap here in this one. Same with Jesse Wise in that 69 ride is nice and easy down and across the start finish line here. Scott Rankin going to click off another lap, and we got about 3 laps left to go here in stage number 2 here this evening. Stage number 1 ended at the completion of lap number 30, and stage number 2 will end at the completion of lap number 50. As we see Scott Rankin unfortunately get up into the outside fence down through corner number 1 and 2. He's going to lose a ton of momentum here, and that is the key thing not to lose here at Auto Club Speedway. And for the 24 ride, he now slides all the way back into position number 4 as Joe Yakes and the 78 of Kyle Gray are able to make quick work of that number 24 and move themselves around him. Now we see Colton Hardy and Scott Rankin battling here for position number 3. Looks like Rankin will get the run and jump back out to the outside here and keep that number 97 back there at bay and outside of a podium run here in this race as Joe Yakes leads us down the back straightaway, nice and easy, down and into corner number 3. We see Kyle Gray right there on him and ready to make some moves here as we do see some issues here. The 18 ride of Evan Schilling. Schilling goes for a bit of a wild ride right here. No caution flag on the racetrack. Let's take a look back and see what happens as just out of corner number 4. Looks like he gets up into the outside fence ever so slightly. Then car shoots down the racetrack and he goes and does a little landscaping here at Auto Club Speedway. And all of a sudden, unfortunately, with that dirt, grime, and grass on that car, he just slides down and into the pit wall. Heavy left front damage there for that AT machine and now scored back in position number 13. But luckily not, he is still on the lead lap, rolling out there on the racetrack. Has not went a lap down yet, but could quickly become a lap down here this evening. As out in front, Joe Yakes this time by will click off lap number 50 here this evening. So 50 laps into the history books. We're 50 laps in, 50 laps left to go, and there is the caution flag to end stage number 2 here this evening. So stage number 2 going to come to a close here in this one. Each and every one of these drivers is going to get ready to go to battle. They're going to get ready to duke it out here after some pit stops, and everyone trying to make sure that their cars are absolutely perfect and ready to roll here for our final stage of racing action here this evening.
Turbocharged hard, piston pumping like a beast. Black top jungle, feast on chaos, crave the grease. 180 miles of asphalt and forgiven. In this chaos-driven life, only the fearless living. Checkered flag visions, adrenaline addiction. Metal chorus blare, ain't no friction. Drafting on the homies, camaraderie's the trigger. Slides on the track, bombs ready, yeah we bigger. Brother dreams, chasing speed and money. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, with fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul, cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine, track burning hot, toasting every line. Hit stop, hustle, seconds ticking like grenades. Oil stained glory, history never fades. Helmet and visor, it's a warrior's enchantment. Every turn a gamble, every lap a commitment. Crowds roar, amplifies high octane behavior. Victory tastes sharp, savoring the flavor. Wind in the helmet, destiny's a blur. Burning rubber dreams, all senses concur. Burn rubber dreams, chasing speed and might. Engines roar loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Grind till we drop, or burst into flames. Pulling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Burning up the dreams, chasing speed and light. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Rhyme till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. Now, into our final stage of the day. Just under 50 laps of racing action left to go here in this one. The lights are still on the official iRacing pace car, but we should see them turn off this time by the start-finish line, as we do see Kevin Winker, K-Dub, down pit road here, now rolling back out onto the racetrack. Kevin Winker was able to get the lucky dog, the free pass in back onto the lead lap here in this one. So a great break there for the 42 right now, looking to try to catch up to the rear of the field, as we do see Evan Schilling there. Schilling making a additional pit stop here in this one for the radar scope number 18 ride. So he'll head back down pit road. He'll give up that little bit of track position that he had, but making sure he tries to get these repairs and get that car topped up with fuel and rolling back out there onto the racetrack for this restart. Is out in front, leading the way. It is the 78 of Kyle Gray. Gray leads this race with the Ford machine of Jesse Galloway there to his outside. Colton Hardy, Scott Rankin, the number 87 of Joey Yanks there in fifth. Charles Van Schaik, Stephen Littroll, the number 6 ride of Matt Hayden, Hunter Carlson, and Keith Prince rounding out our top 10. Michael Miller, Evan Schilling, Kevin Winker, our top 14, with Jesse Weiss scored back in that 15th position. Unfortunately for Weiss here, still the first car one lap down out there on the racetrack, as Bill Hales and Christopher Pendell both down and off of this racetrack. As we will get them ready to rock and roll, we will get ready to rumble here once again from Auto Club Speedway, as out in front Kyle Gray will see that green flag fly here in this one, and we'll inch closer and closer to the checker flag here this evening, as we'll jump into a quick PeaceMaker Gaming crank it up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for this restart, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for all these drivers. A beautiful crank it up session here this evening. A lot of great racing action, a lot of battles out there on the speedway, but right now it is the battle at the front of the field that is starting to heat up out there on the racetrack, as the number 24 of Scott Rankin is the last about 20 laps of this race. He is still battling here, but now the 78 ride of Mr. Gray going to jump up and out in front. So Gray is able to take that race lead away from the 24, but he is not going to give it up easily. Still battling here down to the inside, and it's like the old days here in NASCAR. It is the 24 DuPont machine in the lows, number 78. Now, normally it's the 48 for Jimmy Johnson, but it looks like the Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon days of the past out here on the racetrack as they battle and duke it out here at the front of the field at Auto Club Speedway, and they are putting on one heck of a show for us. As Gray takes the race lead away, Rankin slides back into second, and it's Charles Van Schaik back there in that beautiful GOAT Racing Diecast 23 ride there in position number 3. Stephen Littrell back there in position number 4 and looking for more as the High Mom 36 ride rolls there in position number 4. Matt Hayden there in position number 5 with Joe Yakes back there in the 6th position. Then we see Hunter Carlson and Rusty Modesty rounding out our top 8. A bit of a gap back to our 9th place driver, Colton Hardy, as Hardy in that winning bid 97 ride rolls there in that 9th position. Kevin Winker there right behind him rounding out our top 10. But now we do see K-Dub, Kevin Winker headed down pit side, and a bunch of other drivers also down pit road. Here comes Matt Hayden. Here comes Rusty Modesty, Kevin Winker, Jesse Calloway, all coming down pit side here right around lap number 75. So it looks like they're trying to split this final stage right in half. A 25-lap run and another 25-lap run to finish off this race for Kyle Gray and all these other drivers. It's going to be interesting to see how much longer they're going to stay out there on the racetrack before they have to come down pit side here themselves. I don't think you can wait too long. You can't be out there for too many laps, and allowing those fresh tires back there behind you to close that gap, to gain that track position and maybe roll out in front of you. Now here we go. Here comes that High Mom, the Hoonigan machine of Stephen Littrell. Littrell going to slide out there onto the pit road. Same with the 32 of Hunter Carlson in that Studio 86 number 32 ride. Keith Prince also down pit road here in the Centennial Services number 3 machine. Also down pit side here as well. Matt Hayden able to come out of the pits here out in front of a lot of these other drivers. Hayden now has a bit of a gap between himself and Rusty Modesty, who rolls in about the 11th position right now. Kevin Winker a little farther back behind him. Jesse Wise still rolling out there. Jesse unfortunately still a lap down, still having to make another green flag pit stop here himself. As here we go. Here comes our race leader, Kyle Gray. Gray comes down pit side. Evan Schilling going to come with him here as Stephen Littrell just rolling back out onto the racetrack. Looks like he will get leapfrog there in the 6 of Matt Hayden will jump out in front of him. So that's only the distance in the gap of 1 lap with those fresh tires compared to the old tires. And Matt Hayden now looking like he may be our new race leader here after this pit cycle kind of rolls on through. It's Scott Rankin, Charles Van Schaik, Joe Yakes, and Colton Hardy yet to make these additional green flag pit stops here today. But here comes Van Schaik. Van Schaik gonna come down pit side this time in the number 23, the GOAT Racing diecast ride. Looking to try to get that car fixed up, looking to get some fuel and some tires and hoping to roll back out there onto the racetrack here and still in a pretty good position, or see if he can try to race his way to the front of the field, as you do not want to get a pit road speeding penalty or some sort of an issue here, as we do see Matt Hayden. He would be our race leader with Kyle Gray back there behind him here as things kind of cycle out. The 78 machine now in behind the 6 ride of Hayden. So that's the distance and the gap that you can gain with those fresh tires to the old tires. Here's Hayden reeling in our race leader Scott Rankin out there on the racetrack. Rankin is going to be no match here. The newer tires to the older tires in the 6 ride, going to pull right down low, make the move around him here and put himself back onto the lead lap. Unfortunately for Charles Van Schaik, a lot of these other drivers there still scored a lap down, and if Scott Rankin can play his cards right and potentially get that caution flag, the yellow flag here out on the racetrack, potentially could trap a lot of these drivers a lap down back there behind him. As Rankin leads us down into corner number 3, nice and easy back down and out of corner number 4, coming to completion of lap number 80, and it looks like he is going to head down pit road here himself. So he's going to have quite a bit better tires than a lot of these drivers around him, but is it going to be too much? Is he going to give up too much time out there on the racetrack that he may not be able to gain it all back and race his way back up to the front of the field? We'll have to wait and find out, as we do see Joe Yanks going to stay out here. Same with Colton Hardy. They're going to roll another lap or 2 out here on the speedways. Hayden would be considered our race leader here if things cycle through like they should here this evening. Kyle Gray back there in position number 2. Now Kyle does have a couple lap better tires than that number 6 ride of Matt Hayden, and he is closing the gap here on that number 6 ride. Slowly but surely inching a little closer and closer towards Hayden out there on the racetrack. He's got a lot of time, not a lot of positions here, or a lot of track time that he's going to have to try to figure out a way to get up there and pass these guys. As you do see Scott Rankin just rolling back out onto the racetrack. Our race leaders are already full sung and burden around him and pulling farther and farther away from him. This is the gap we were talking about. Yes, he will have the better tires. Yes, he'll have the fresher tires and probably the faster car for quite a while out there on the racetrack. But even with just 20 laps left to go, is it going to be enough time? Will he have enough time to hunt down Matt Hayden and the rest of these drivers, as he's virtually, I'd say, a full straightaway, if not more, back behind Matt Hayden out there on the speedway? It is about a 6-second gap between Matt Hayden and Scott Rankin out there on the racetrack. So we'll have to wait and see if those French tires can navigate this 24 ride back up to the front of the field. As Hayden out in front, he's still holding just over a second gap between himself and Kyle Gray, as Gray sits in position number 2. Rusty Modesty there in 3rd. Stephen Littrell back there in 4th, with Charles Van Schaik now in the 5th. Hunter Carlson, Kevin Winker are top 7, with Scott Rankin there in position number 8. Jesse Calloway back in 9th. Evan Schilling there in 10th. Then we see Joe Yakes back in position number 11, with Colton Hardy there in position number 12. And Hardy just rolling back out onto the racetrack here. Unfortunately, he came down pit road and did not get a great pit stop there. He's about 12 seconds behind Joe Yakes on the racetrack. They came down virtually together, and all of a sudden, Joe Yanks, he's about a straightaway in front of that number 97 machine. 12-second gap between the two of them. Unfortunately, that may have taken Colton Hardy out of this race, even with the pit strategy and the better tires out there on the racetrack. He is way back behind everybody else, and it's going to take a lot for him to be able to roll up and roll his sleeves up and get back into this fight out there onto the racetrack for a good finish today. Is Matt Hayden. Hayden continued to lead the way, but that gap has shrunk ever so slightly. It's about 0.8 of a second now between himself and Kyle Gray. As the tires will continue to slip away from that 6 machine, Hayden's just going to try to play this smart. He's going to try to figure out a way to try to keep this gap or try to keep that number 78 back there at bay, even by throwing some big blocks, trying to see if he can try to get these tires a little bit more even, and potentially by the time Kyle Gray catches him, maybe the 78 will just be a little too hard on his own equipment and balance out those tires a little bit more, where it comes down to just pure speed, where we've seen Matt Hayden and Kyle Gray both show some great speed all day long. As Stephen Littroll now up into third, as he's able to work himself around the number 5 of Rusty Modesty, but Charles Van Schaik right there into this fight here. Van Schaik does have a little bit better tire than that number 36, and he's going to try to use it to his advantage and take that third spot away from the 36 here today, as Hunter Carlson there in 6, Kevin Winker, K-Dub there in 7, but it may not be for long, as that 24, Scott Rankin right there to his back bumper, and Rankin going to make the move down low and around the 42 of Kevin Winker, and K-Dub will slide back to 8th in the 24, back up into position number 7, as he has closed the gap quite a bit here. It was about 6 seconds as he rolled back out onto the racetrack. It's now down to about 3.7 seconds. The gap between Scott Rankin and our race leader, Matt Hayden. As Hayden continues to fall and starts to struggle here, the tires continue to lose that pace and speed and everything else, but we continue to get closer and closer to that checkered flag, but still with about 14 laps left to go this time by the start-finish line. There's still a lot of laps. There's still a ton of time out there on the speedway for that 24 run to potentially catch up to these guys, pass them, and put himself up and into victory lane here today. As man, some great racing, some great battles out there, man. Only the caution flags really for incident out there on the racetrack were for our stage breaks at the end of stage number 1 and stage number 2. Other than that, it's been clean green racing here at Auto Club Speedway, and it is that 6 Ryan who continues to hang on to the race lead. As out in front, it's Hayden. And Gray there in second. Gray continues to track him down, inching closer and closer to his back bumper, looking to try to jump back out in front and take this race lead back away from that 6 machine here today. And Charles Van Schaik back there in third. Stephen Littroll there in fourth. And then we see Scott Rankin there in position number 5. Now Rankin, out of any of these drivers up inside our top 5, he's got about the best tires out of every single one of them here. He now has the fresher tires, 2 laps better than Charles Van Schaik, 3 laps better than Kyle Gray, 4 laps better than Stephen Littroll, and about 5 laps better tires than Matt Hayden. As here we go, Hayden trying to hang on to the race lead, but down low, here comes that 78 of Kyle Gray. Gray may see that 24 line slowly but surely working his way up and through the speed charts here and racing his way back up to the front of the field, and 78 may know that it's time to go. He wants to make sure he can make this pass and be able to start to open up a little bit more of a lead and make it that much tougher for the 24 line. Scott Rankin to try to get back out in front of this race, as Scott Rankin now moving nice and easy down and around the 36 ride of Littroll. Littroll will slide back into position number 5 as the 24 ride. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he is coming. He is coming quickly here this evening, as Kyle Gray is able to make that pass and put Matt Hayden back into position number 2 here this evening. Hayden quickly now has that GOAT Racing diecast ride to his back bumper, now taking a look down to his inside, and Scott Rankin reeling them in a quick hurry, as down across the line, only 11 more laps left to go. 11 laps left to go, and at this pace, I do believe we're going to see this number 24 ride take that race lead back away here, potentially in the next 3 or 4 laps. All depends on how quickly he can work himself through some of that traffic, and I think that's exactly what Kyle Gray wants to see. He wants to see Matt Hayden, Charles Van Schaik. He wants to see those guys put up a fight, trying to hold this 24 ride back there at bay, maybe slow him down enough where he can't get that run and has the time to chase down our race leader here this evening, but it's going to be a tall task. It's going to be tough to do as he is absolutely zooming out there on the racetrack. We do see Joe Yanks trying to work his way up and through the top 10 as he now slides into position number 9. He's got his eyes set on Kevin Winker, K-Dub right there in front of him with only 10 laps left to go. It's going to get very, very interesting in a quick hurry as the 6 machine of Matt Hayden going to try to hang on to position number 3, but the 24 ride gets a piece of the outside fence. That's a big mistake there for Scott Rankin. Rankin just lost quite a bit of time down the back straightaway. Still going to try to have to build up that momentum, that speed once again, and see if he can continue to battle with this 6 machine for position number 3. And down the front straightaway, he's able to find that run, find that gear, and quickly jump down to the inside of that 6 ride. And now going to send it deep down into corner number 1 and look to clear him here. And Hayden will fall back into position number 4 as the 24 will jump out in front and is now our third place driver as Kyle Gray rolls there in position number 1. Here he's got a little bit of a gap between himself and Charles Van Schaik, and about 1.2 seconds between himself and this 24 of Scott Rankin. As Rankin up and into third here and looking to continue ranking on up and to the front of the field and potentially into victory lane, but will he have enough time to not only catch him but also make the move, make the pass and steal this win away from Kyle Gray? Is down across the line, only 8 more laps left to go. 8 more laps left to go here in this one. What do you guys think? Jump into the comment section. Let us know. Do you think that the 78 ride will hang on to it and find victory lane? Do we see maybe Charles Van Schaik steal this one away, or do we see that 24 ride just drive his way up here, catch these two, make some moves, and put himself up and into victory lane, just like Jeff Gordon did so many times in the NASCAR Cup Series? As Kyle Gray out in front now has that 23 of Charles Van Schaik right onto his back bumper, looking to see if he can maybe make that move, steal that race lead away from the 78 ride, and then see if he can himself keep that number 24 back there at base. Unfortunately here for Scott Rankin, Rankin's actually fallen back here a little bit, even now that these two are battling nose to tail out there on the racetrack, and now door to door down the back straightaway here. Scott Rankin still over a second back behind our top 2 drivers, and now as they battle door to door, potentially going to allow him to maybe gain a little bit of extra speed, a little bit of extra track time to be able to pull up and join that hunt at the front here, as the 23 ride will take the race lead away. Charles Van Schaik now to the point here at Auto Club Speedway, is down across the line. 6 more laps left to go. Now Kyle Gray, he says he is not done this fight. He is not going to give up that easily, and he will try to battle back to the rear bumper here of the 23 ride, knowing that that could be the checker flag right there out front of his windshield here at Auto Club Speedway. As they head down the back straightaway, it's still about a second gap between themselves and our third place driver, Scott Rankin. Is Rankin maybe burned his stuff up a little bit too much than he was expecting, trying to work his way up and through that traffic, through the gears, and trying to join this fight once again at the front of the field. Maybe he's ran out of time. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he's just timed it perfectly here today. As Charles Van Schaik down across the line will click off another lap, and we only get 5 more left to go here in this one. A big high five here from our flag man, and for these drivers, they know it's all about hitting your marks, not making any mistakes, and trying to keep your race perfect out there on the speedway. One slip up between these two drivers at the front of the field, and Scott Rankin will be right there, ready to try to make those moves and try to put himself up and into victory lane. Hayden there in 4th, and Stephen Littrell rounding out our top 5 there in the high mob. 36 ride as down through corner number 3 and out of 4, down across the start finish line and clicking off another lap as we see 4 more to go here at Auto Club Speedway. Man, this has been some great racing, some great action, pretty much clean and green all evening long. Only yellow flags we've seen were 4. Our stage breaks at stage number, or lap number 30 and lap number 50. Other than that, it's been in the driver's hands. It's been their ability, their opportunity to try to hit their marks and put themselves up and into victory lane, as you see the 23 continuing to lead the way, but the 78 sticking right there with them, not letting him run away with it, and Kyle Gray continue to put the pressure onto the back bumper of that GOAT Racing diecast number 23. Scott Rankin still trying to reel them both in, hoping to try to find them here in the final couple laps of this race, seeing if he can try to time things perfectly, maybe make that last lap pass and put himself up into the winner's circle here in Auto Club. As Charles Van Schaik leads us down and through corner number 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. You see that DuPont 24 run getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer here late in this race, and unfortunately for him, he may be running out of time in a quick hurry, but he's still trying to just roll that outside lane to perfection, trying to find as much speed as possible, trying to close that gap and trying to reel these guys in here before this checkered flag flies this afternoon. As Van Schaik down low on the apron, see a big run right there for the 78 ride of Kyle Gray. Gray now back to the outside of this 23 ride, as Gray looking to try to maybe take this race lead back away. And as they battle again door to door, here comes Rankin right into the fight here, only a couple car lengths back as they're still side by side down the back straightaway for the race lead. Kyle Gray in the Lowe's Cobalt ride on the outside lane. The 23 of Charles Van Schaik down low in that number 23 machine, and the Go Racing diecast ride is down in through corner 3 and out of corner number 4. The 23 will get another big run. The 24 ride of Scott Rankin, giving it everything he's got, is down across the line. We will see that white flag fly one more time around here for Charles Van Schaik, as he's looking to try to pick up a big checkered flag here in race number 2 of the Full Throttle Outlaws Truck Series, or Racing Series, here this year, as the Gen 4 Cup cars put on a heck of a show here at Auto Club Speedway. The winning bid 200 comes down to this, the final time, down through corner number 3. Nice and easy out of corner number 4. Kyle Gray's going to have one more shot, one more opportunity, looking for a big run down the front straightaway, but he won't get there as the 23 of Charles Van Schaik will pick up the checker flag here in this one. Charles getting it done here this evening and putting himself in that GOAT Racing diecast 23 up and into victory lane here at Auto Club Speedway. Kyle Gray will have to settle in for second, and Scott Rankin back in third. Matt Hayden, Steven Littrell rounding out our top 5 with Joe Yanks, Hunter Carlson, Rusty Modesty, Kevin Winker, and Evan Schilling rounding out our top 10 here this evening. Is the 23 ride gonna get ready to celebrate. He's gonna get ready to party hardy here in Auto Club Speedway, as he is able to capture the checkered flag here in the winning bid 200. And we'll get ready to pull our top 3 if we can get them in the Discord here for their post-race interviews. The post-race interview is going to come up next, as Charles Van Schaik, hopefully I'm saying it right, I'm probably still getting it wrong here. Charles VC up and into victory lane, and he's going to burn down the house here at Auto Club Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for our race winner here this evening. Man, what a run and what a drive all evening long for this number 23 machinist. He is definitely going to set it ablaze here this evening, knowing that he's able to pick up a big win here at Auto Club Speedway and able to smell that rubber burning and ready to party here this evening, as he is going to do a little bit of the Polish victory lap here backwards out there on the racetrack, and we'll get ready to pull in not only him but the rest of our top 3 into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. As, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our race winner up here into the booth right now. Hey, Charles, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Charles, man, what a run, what a race. Take us back through this one, man, as you're able to find victory lane here in the winning bid 200, race number 2 of the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing Series here this season.
Yeah, I literally asked for an EOL. I ran 0 practice laps here. I don't think I've ever run here in this car. I'm familiar with the car, I guess, and the track, but did an EOL, saved gas to get good stage points. Stage 1, stage 2, didn't take tires, still got stage points. And then that first, obviously being in the back, once the start of stage 3 happened, I really had to burn my stuff to get track position, and then once I got up to second or third, it was that was as far as I was gonna go. So my plan was one or two, one lap after the leader, I was gonna come in, and he went in, then I came in, and then I just babied my tires for the first half of that run, and then just started ripping the bottom. The mid lane, if you can control the throttle and keep, as much throttle in it, you can almost go around without coming off the throttle. But man, it was fun there. Me and Kyle were sliding all over the place, under, above. I almost dumped myself coming out of one or two, or coming out of four, and made it a little bit closer than it probably should have been. But obviously, at a draft track, he probably would have been able to get a couple more runs at me regardless. So good race overall. Pretty excited to get a win out of the way. I think last season I finished second. I was Sheldon Creed until about the playoffs, and then I started winning races. So good to get the monkey off my back.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to always find that early victory. Now you can go after some points and just try to keep on putting this 23 up and into victory lane here on the season and trying to get many more victories on the year. But man, that thing was zooming here late in this race, and there was obviously a lot of different pit strategies and everything else. And with the fresher tires there, we saw Scott Rankin coming back up through the field. We saw Scott leading quite a few laps there in this final stage, and as he had the better tires, we're getting a little nervous as you and Kyle were kind of battling and duking it out there a little bit, that he was just going to zoom up there and pass the both of you and steal this win away.
I mean, yeah, I saw he was gaining some time. He was like 1.7. Then I looked down, he was 1.3, and then he was under a second when I caught Kyle. And then, me and Kyle, I mean, there was a couple times we were side by side, but, I'm thinking, I mean, he's a high I rating guy. I think, yeah, he's higher than me. So, I mean, I'm hoping his racing IQ was there in real life. Because once me and him were in front of each other and just pulling off of each other, we actually got a little bit of that time back. So, I saw him coming. He would have had the fresher tires, but I think he would have had a hard time if me and Kyle were fighting and then he tried, the third one getting in there. I'm sure probably wouldn't have ended it well for one of us, two of us, or all three of us, because we were sliding there. I felt like I was Tokyo drifting, the last 10 laps. I don't know if you did any in car when I had to. I mean, I was left and right. I mean, it was fun. It sucks they got rid of this track in real life, but it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It sucks that they got rid of this track in real life, but we still get to enjoy it here on the simulator. And again tonight, putting on a absolutely amazing show. And we watched you guys all night long, slipping in, sliding in, rolling out there on the speedway, and somehow or another, you guys were able to keep it pretty clean. Only the 2 caution flags for stage breaks here this evening, and it was up to you guys, man. It was all down to the drivers and the pit cycles and everything else, and your ability to get it done here this evening, and no one doing it better than yourself tonight, Charles. As you park that 23 up and into the Auto Club Speedway victory lane here this afternoon. Who would you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance here this evening?
Yeah, I mean, to you for the broadcast admins putting the lead together. Kind of still not 100% on the car choice, but it's and I'm not saying I like it now because I won, because I'll be struggling and cursing at my wheel probably in other tracks. But my teammates, Evan, Keith, Bill, I think we're missing one, and Rick, and then obviously to my Goat Racing drivers. I sponsor, I think, 9 now. I just signed on another one. Check out the website, use their promo codes. They get paid based off of a percentage of the sale from off their promo code. So please reach out. We do customs, pre-orders. We do have the low C RC cars. We have previously owned collections, and some merch too. Sponsored drivers get their hats, so I'll get that all set up for the new driver. And other than that, man, it was fun. And I don't know where we're at next week. He said it, and I'm forgetting. Charlotte, so that should be fun in this car. Another slide around, fly jobs, and try to keep the car under you.
Yeah, Absolutely going to be another very fun racetrack, another one that's going to be right into the hands and down to, how good you guys can handle these race cars out there on the racetrack, and it's going to be a very fun race to watch. As Charles, congratulations on picking up the checkered flag here this evening, and we can't wait to see that GOAT Racing Diecast ride back up and into victory lane and up here into the broadcast booth next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely enjoy the rest of your night, and don't party too hard down there in victory lane.
I'll try not to.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Charles Van Shank. Van Shank able to get it done and pull himself up and into victory lane here this evening. As we'll get ready now to pull in our second place driver, the number 78 of Kyle Gray. Gray coming home here in position number 2. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey, Kyle, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth to get a copy.
Yes, I do.
Kyle, man, a very solid run for you here this evening, man. That 78 was zooming fast out there on the racetrack, man, leading some laps, battling hard there for many of laps for this win here this evening. Unfortunately, you fall one spot shy and end up in position number 2, man. Take us back through this race and what's kind of going through your mind here as you park down on pit road.
Yeah, I pitted a little bit too early, a lap or two, but I was just kind of buying my time and tires, and everybody was running really hard and burning their stuff up. So I just kind of let them go, and I seen people short pitting, so I didn't want to be caught too far behind. But Charles, he was there, and ran side by side with Matt for a couple laps, so that kind of slowed him and let Charles catch up. So all in all, it was a good race. I got back to Charles, and he was a little loose and just kind of buying my time. Yeah, smacked the wall off 3, and I just needed a couple more laps. I probably would have won it, but good race.
Yeah, definitely a very good race, a very good battle there between you and Charles, but there was another good battle out there as well before that final green flag pit stop here on the day is between you and Scott Rankin, man. Looked like Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon battling out there on the racetrack. That kind of pop into your mind there is you and the Lowe's ride and him and that, DuPont 24 machine duking it out there at the front of the field here at Auto Club Speedway, man. Had to be a bit of a blast from the past. I know it was very nostalgic for me up here in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, that's why I went to the Lowe's car, because hey, it's been very good to me. I race these cars all the time. I know all about them, and it's got to be patient, and it'll come to you.
Absolutely, and the Lowe's ride looking perfect out there on the racetrack, and tonight almost perfect, almost up into victory lane again here at Auto Club Speedway. And Johnson's home track race, unfortunately, has to settle in for position number 2 here in this one. Kyle, congratulations on the great run, the great performance, and hopefully we'll see you back out here next Friday for a beautiful race at Charlotte, another racetrack that Johnson was very, very good at. But, man, a heck of a run, a heck of a performance here for you tonight, man. Who would you like to thank, though, for such a great run?
I gotta thank my wife let me do this, and gotta thank Colton for inviting me to this series. And it's a very good series that will potentially, boom. And um, we got the new cars coming out, so that might change the things a little bit. So we'll have to see how that's gonna go. So all in all, everybody's racing good and clean, and good group.
Absolutely. Good group of drivers, some great racing action, and we can't wait to see you guys back in battle next Friday night. Kyle, congrats on the second place finish, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Kyle Gray. As Gray coming home in position number 2. Solid run, solid drive there for Kyle here this evening. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and showing the love here this evening. Everyone with the likes, the comments, the shares, everyone tuning in and showing the love here in this one is Funky T-Bone. Funky T-Bone coming in with the raid over there on Twitch. Are you kidding me? Funky T-Bone coming in, showing the love here in this one. Funky, unfortunately, we were just getting ready to hop off. We were just getting ready to call it a night, unfortunately. But I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all coming in and showing the love. Gene Carlos also coming in, dropping that like over there on the Facebook stream as well. Gene, welcome to the PeaceMaker family. Welcome to the PeaceMaker crew. It's Sim Gaming Expo says, have a great night. I appreciate that, Sim Gaming. Hopefully, you guys had an amazing stream. Hopefully, Funky T-Bone had an amazing afternoon, an amazing night of broadcasting as well, or of racing action and everything that they were doing here this evening. Hopefully, just a great stream altogether. But here tonight, man, you guys missed out on a great race, a great battle as the Gen 4 Cup cars went to battle here for 100 laps of racing action here at Auto Club Speedway. We saw a bunch of different strategies, a bunch of different plans out there on the speedways. We saw them, going into pit road. We saw them coming out of pit road, and we saw them, duking it out here after those green flag pit stops. And it was a battle of not only nutrition, but just kind of strategy here this evening. Whether or not you came down pit road, a little bit earlier than everyone else and then trying to hang on later on, or if you came down a little bit later and tried to catch them and hunt them down. It worked out well for Charles Van Shank as he was able to find victory lane. For Kyle Gray coming home in second, and for Scott Rankin coming home in third here in that beautiful number 24 right out there on the speedway. The Jeff Gordon machine duking it out there this evening as well. But man, oh man, oh man, it was a heck of a show, a heck of a race, and these things are absolutely wild to watch battle out there on the racetrack, man. These things are a ton of fun. They are a blast to watch them duke it out lap after lap after lap here at Auto Club Speedways. These things are wild, different types of cars, man. They are a handful. You'll see them slipping and sliding around all evening long here at the racetrack, and we can't wait to see them back in action next Friday night. Next Friday night, they'll be back into the battle. They will be duking it out again next Saturday. But listen, I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in with the likes, the comments, the shares, everyone showing the love here this evening. We will see you guys back up here in the broadcast booth. Not tomorrow. We're actually off tomorrow, but maybe potentially we'll jump in and do a little something, maybe a little bonus stream tomorrow afternoon. We'll figure something out and try to get something planned up. But other than that, we will be back in action Sunday evening for some more racing action here on PeaceMaker Gaming. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Peace and love, baby. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! What a run, what a race, what a show.
Turbocharged hard, piston pumping like a beast. Black top, jungle feast on chaos, grave the grease. 180 miles of asphalt is forgiven. In this chaos-driven life, only the fearless living. Checkered flag visions, adrenaline addiction. Metal chorus blare, ain't no friction fiction. Drafting on the homies, camaraderie's a trigger. Slides on the track, bombs ready, yeah we bigger. Brother dreams chasing speed and money. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, with fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Pit stop hustle, seconds ticking like grenades. Oil stained glory, history never fades. Helmet and visor, it's a warrior's enchantment. Every turn a gamble, every lap a commitment. Crowds roar, amplifies high octane behavior. Victory tastes sharp, savoring the flavor. Wind in the helmet, destiny's a blur. Burning rubber dreams, all senses concur. Burn rubber dreams, chasing speed and might. Engines roar loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Under the trees, chasing speed and light. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Turbocharged hawk, piston pumping like a beast. Black top, jungle feast on chaos, grab the grease. 180 miles of asphalt ain't forgiven. In this chaos driven life, only the fearless living. Checkered flag visions, adrenaline addiction. Metal chorus blare, ain't no friction fiction. Drafting on the homies, camaraderie's a trigger. Slides on the track, bombs ready, yeah we bigger. Brother dreams, chasing speed and might. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Pit stop hustle, seconds ticking like grenades. Oil stained glory, history never fades. Helmet and visor, it's a warrior's enchantment. Every turn a gamble, every lap a commitment. Crowds roar, amplifies high-octane behavior. Victory tastes sharp, savoring the flavor. Wind in the helmet, destiny's a blur. Burning rubber dreams, all senses concur. Burn rubber dreams, chasing speed and might. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line. Under the trees, chasing speed and light. Engines roaring loud, blazing through the night. Lap after lap, the fire in our veins. Run till we drop, or burst into flames. Fueling up the spirit, nitro in the soul. Cranking up the madness, losing all control. Curves like serpents, straightaways divine. Track burning hot, toasting every line.